The next plugin I'm going to show you is a little bit tricky. I have to tell you that I'm showing it to you half-heartedly, but it can do wonders and it can do nothing for your website, and that's caching. First of all, for those who don't understand caching, caching means that the server has a version of the latest, let's say the latest version of your website before any changes, and if the server is demanded to display the page, it can show it from the cache, thus taking much shorter time to upload. Only when you make changes to a page, like add new posts or new pictures or new content, then the server goes back and let's say draws back the original or the changed version. So caching should be something that saves you time and increases the upload time of the website, reaction time, and eventually, of course, the Google ranking and the user experience, which we cannot ignore. So there are many caching plugins these days. I'm going to click on Add New, and I'm going to add one of them. Let's write just cache. Okay, and it's going to give you all the famous ones: Super Cache, Quick Cache. And over here, it's very difficult for me to recommend one. These top three: Quick Cache, Super Cache, Total Cache, I've used them all. They all have advantages and disadvantages. The one which I'm going to use right now is a Super Cache. And again, don't look at it as a recommendation. I'm going to install it, and I want you to play around with all of them. The caching should again improve the performance of your website. Now I have to tell you, when I set up a website, when I go from let's say from the beginning, I only install the caching at the last plugin, because when you update your website, sometimes the caching doesn't let you see the changes that you made. So just let's make it last. Now you see WP Super Cache has been added, it's activated, and immediately I have a warning that it's disabled. Please go to the plugin admin page to enable it. So the default setting is disabled. I'm going to click caching on. Okay, recommended. And before I save this, let's update the status immediately. I want to show you some advanced settings. I'm just going to show you the basic settings, which is caching on. I'm not going to touch any of these other things. And what I'm going to do is advanced settings. What I like about Super Cache is that it shows you exactly what is recommended, and you can always just go by their direction. Now, if I change my caching method from PHP to mod rewrite, I'm going to have to update my bulletproof security software. You will see it in a second, because it's faster. Let's keep it at PHP. And again, you see always in the parentheses, can always find out what the actual software or plugin provider sees as recommended, and I can always check these boxes or uncheck them. Again, I don't have to accept every recommendation from the actual developers, but they know what they're doing most of the time. A lot of settings here. I don't want you to go into all these settings. They can be very confusing. So what I'm just going to do as a very last thing is update the status. And basically this plugin right now is active. Okay, it's an active plugin, and I want to check, just before I go any further on, I just want to check that it hasn't done any damage to my BPS security, which I showed you in another video. And you see immediately the message, Super Cache is activated whether you're not using the or that was not found in your root access file. So if I go to security status right now, still everything is green, but BPS strongly recommends that I use a different mode of caching, and I did it on purpose so you would see this warning, not get freaked out by it. Just go back to Super Cache. Okay, it's settings, Super Cache. And what we're going to do is we're going to change in the advanced settings. I'm not going to even bother with any of the other settings. I'm just going to show you easy in advanced. We're going to change to mode rewrite, which is recommended, as you can see in parentheses, and I'm going to update the status. You don't need to understand exactly what it means. Rewrite rules must be updated. Scroll down. Okay, always follow the instructions. Mode rewrite rules. You see, it created a new sheet of code for me, and I want to update it. Update mode rewrite rules. It's going to become green right now. There we go. Now it's green. Now there's no message. Okay, we've updated this, and we can update the status. And we have our caching service running with no warnings over here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the BPS security again. As we switch to mode rewrite, Okay, and you see once we switch to the mode rewrite, the red message that we had here disappeared. Everything is cool, everything is green. Right now our site is cached. Now, I want to remind you that you can always check this through your YDA, through your SEO checkup. It's in the videos under websites on this site. You can see how to use this website SEO site checkup. I want to see if the page cache actually registered for an outside user. Actually, it could be too fast. Honestly, I just changed the settings, and I'm immediately looking for results. So it might not necessarily already work. But this is always a way that you can check your site's performance. And you can see it still doesn't recognize any caching that is done on my pages. But I'm sure with time and it will recognize that I actually did launch a caching service, or I can tell you that I wasn't 100% in love with the caching plugins, because sometimes they don't work too well with your server and the caching doesn't work 100% correctly. But as long as it doesn't create any damage to your website, I say why not use it. So let's just go back. Caching, you can use whatever you want: total cache, super cache, quick cache. You saw the under super cache, you saw the very simple settings that you need to control, and now your website is cached.